No, because there we go. You guys. Front Stoop, what's poppin'? It's your boy. I apologize for the technical difficulties right there, ladies and gentlemen, but we're back and in full effect. And I know it took a while to get this video off, but we finally got it off. Reasonable Doubt versus Ready to Die, ladies and gentlemen. Got my man Tony Crow and Savvy D here. We're going to go ahead and break this thing down and have a great conversation. You know what I'm saying? And this is just the beginning of classic albums versus classic albums. So let's go ahead and get into this. Tony Crow, Savvy D. What's poppin', fellas? How you feeling?
Yo, Black is time. Shout out to the chat. Sim, Savvy, what's poppin'?
Good, man. I'm good.
Chillin'.
Good. All right, here we go.
Chilling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to hip hop. Shout out to Hov and Big. R.I.P. the Big. Good to be back.
Yo.
Stoopers.
Yeah, listen, Reasonable Doubt, Ready to Die. Two of the most classic hip hop albums that you're ever gonna come across. That you will ever come across. And you know, we're not gonna listen to the tracks, but we're putting them up against one another. We wanna know what you guys think. Right? So we might as well just go ahead and get into it. I guess I'll start, right? I'll go back and I'll just talk about a little bit, just my history with both albums. I'm a little bit more in touch with Reasonable Doubt. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little bit more in touch with Reasonable Doubt. You know what I mean? That's the album that I listened to. I listened to that, and I know a lot of people are going to be surprised, but I listened to it more than I listened to Ready to Die. There was just something musically with Reasonable Doubt that touched me. You know, that I just love the instrumentalism, if that's the word I want to use, behind the tracks. You know, man, I always thought Jay-Z did a great job of putting just that nice soulful sound behind them, and that's what I love about Reasonable Doubt. Now, then of course, you know, Ready to Die, I think that came out in 94, right? Reasonable Doubt came out in 96. Ready to Die came out in 94, I think. And you know, the thing for me, you all know I'm a Nas fan. I was so deep in the Illmatic, I didn't pay as much attention to Ready to Die. I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. I know it sounds crazy. But when I finally said, let me pop this thing open, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, like Biggie. Obviously, I had already heard Biggie all over the radios, unbelievable and everything. But I was just like, yo, like Biggie really, you know, he really put together something that was introspective. You know what I mean? You know, when I first popped it open and listened to it. So, you know, I have a great history with both albums. Obviously, Biggie, I used to DJ, you know, Ready to Die had joints that bumped in the club from, you know, album cuts to remixes. But Jay-Z's was a little bit more under the radar than Ready to Die. You know what I mean? Reasonable Doubt was, I don't even want to say a little bit more, it was way more under the radar than Ready to Die. So, you know. And Jay-Z kind of came in as Biggie's man. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like Biggie's man, you know? Both albums, though, are ingrained in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Both albums are ingrained in my heart. But, Tony, just from, you know, when both albums dropped, where was, you know, how, you know, where was you? What was your thought process with them, with both of them?
So similar to your story, I too was a huge Nas fan. I was aware of Biggie's album when it dropped, and I remember mainly because I used to frequent Brooklyn at that time, so I would hear it a lot in Brooklyn more than just like of my own listening to. But I knew from jump it was good to great music. Especially the singles. Jay, yes, underground. Lot of money talk.
Yes, sir.
If you wasn't at least familiar with what was going on outside, you probably didn't really understand a lot of reasonable doubt. Excuse me. So I don't know if you want to say luckily, but I got the gist of the majority of what he was talking about in that music. And I knew it was way beyond the level of street knowledge that I was involved with, if you will. You know what I mean? He talked like a kingpin, if you will.
Mm-hmm. The whole album, that I think that was one of the biggest drawbacks of Reasonable Doubt, if you want to say drawbacks. It came out in an era in '96 when everybody was mafioso, right? You know, that's what rap was very mafioso at that time, and that's when Reasonable Doubt came out, and that's what he put out. I think even though it was mafioso, it still had a little bit more of a maturity level type mafioso to it, than some of the other artists.
I think what he was trying to do was give off or tell people, hey, I'm really doing this stuff that you guys are rapping about. You know what I mean? If you look at the story of the In My Lifetime video, like that was real footage. Like, oh, let's make a video of what we do once a month or every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, and so, they rented a boat, went on the island, did the stuff that they do anyway, and it made it the video. So, there's that.
Yeah. Savvy, just initially, and then we can start, really digging into the tracks and all of that.
Well, I was born the year Ready to Die came out, and I was still a damn near an infant, a toddler, whatever you have, when Reasonable Doubt came out. When I was a teenager and I finally went back and did a full listen front to back of Ready to Die, it was very much an education, an enlightenment, and a reinvigoration of my love for hip hop. I realized that I had been hearing songs off of that album for my entire life. And it was just a beautiful thing to see what he was able to achieve back then, especially being that probably just a year before or a year after that happened, the movie Notorious had come out. So I learned a little bit more about his journey, and just navigating through his life in the industry. When I listened to Reasonable Doubt for the first time, I'm not gonna lie to you, it didn't really connect with me. It didn't really resonate. And the way that I was introduced to the album was as a comparison to Illmatic, because people knew that I loved Illmatic. They knew I loved Nas, and a friend of mine told me that he thought Jay had a better debut, and I did disagree. When I got to college, I listened to it again, and let's just say it was much more understandable. And I was like, oh wow, like this is my kind of guy right here. like this is someone that I could, like, if I knew in real life back then, we could get, you know what I'm saying, get some things done. But back when I was younger, when I discovered Ready to Die, I was much too young and uninitiated to really even appreciate Reasonable Doubt for what it was. And so my journey since then with both albums has been 2 classic albums, fantastic debut records, wishing that Big had more time. And I just didn't know Hove was rapping like that back then before I knew to go back and listen to it a certain way. And I was like, wow. Jigga was getting busy back then. So it's a beautiful thing, hip hop, man. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's go ahead and rewind. Let's start with Reasonable Doubt. And I wasn't able to get the setup where I could compare song for song, side by side. Next time we will do so. We'll do it that way. But I'm gonna bring up Reasonable Doubt in the track list. And if anybody that's following along right now or will sees this later on, if you don't know what the cover of Reasonable Doubt looks like, shame on you. But I'll bring it over here just so you can see it and you know what it is. And I really did feel like the cover of both of these albums, to me, really did let you know what the album was going to be about. When I seen the cover of Reasonable Doubt, I already felt the tenor of the album, just from the cover itself. You know what I mean? And I think Ready to Die does the same exact thing. And if you've never seen the cover of Ready to Die, here you go. Okay, that's Biggie on the cover as a baby. Stole Nas joint. Right. And I think that really does tell you see the title Ready to Die, and you see a baby on the cover, it kind of tells you right there, you're born to start getting ready to die. You know what I mean? Like, basically. Right? And it kind of already tells you and lets you know what it's going to be about. But let's start with Reasonable Doubt. Because I remember when Reasonable Doubt dropped, and when I, busted it open and Can't Knock the Hustle came out. Already Mary J. Blige is, queen of hip hop, you know what I mean? Hands down, no doubt about it. And I'm already a huge fan of Mary J. Blige. At that time, Mary J. Blige is everywhere in hip hop. She is the queen. And I fell in love with the song right off top. You know what I'm saying? Because just the Can't Knock the Hustle kind of, it kind of tells you just a little bit of a story of Jay-Z, behind the hustle. I'm saying, even though the song is Can't Knock the Hustle, it just tells you a little bit, of where he does think. He gives you a small tab, little bit of introspection there, but it took a while for Jay-Z to really get introspective, but he gives you a little bit of what he can do, on Can't Knock the Hustle. That right there is close to being my favorite song on the album. I don't know if it is. It might be. I don't know, but I love Can't Knock the Hustle. Right? So that
Really?
I love Can't Knock the Hustle. That song right there attracted me immediately. And then you got Politics as Usual, Brooklyn's Finest, Dead Presidents 2, Feeling It, The Evils, 22 Twos, Can I Live, Ain't No Nigga, Friend or Foe, Coming of Age, Cashmere Thoughts, Bring It On, and Regrets. I don't know. Let's start with Tony. You want to start with Can't Knock the Hustle too?
My bad. That's a classic Mary feature.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way the her voice on there, and it was a surprise too. Like it was almost like, how'd this new guy get married?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he get married? Exactly.
On the opening joint. So that said a lot to me right off jump. this song had to grow on me in its entirety. Like for some reason the hook drew me in, and that's what I focused on more than even listening to the song originally. And then as I just knew the song, like I knew the song just off of repetition, and I didn't really break it down until like some time later. But yeah, it's one of the good it's not many bad records on this album, to be honest.
No, is it? Not at all. Not at all. There's a couple.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is a bad one.
Not at all. And we don't have to do every single. We don't have to do every single song. We don't have to go down the track and do every single song. We can talk about some standout things, that we thought and felt about each song. Savvy, if you want to start with Can't Knock the Hustle, or you don't have to. Any place you want to start.
Can't Knock the Hustle is a beautiful song. I love that song, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that The Evils or Can I Live or Friend or Foe were not my favorite songs on this album.
Okay.
I feel like even among the two albums, right, that we're comparing right now, Can I Live stands out as, to me, the biggest moment, probably the illest beat, and just every time that beat drops for Can I Live, it just does my soul wonders, man. Like it's just because I feel like I'm being spoken to. Maybe I'm being spoken for when I hear Can I Live come on. It's just a culmination of like if there was an audio form of catharsis for me, the Can I Live beat just like it does my soul wonders, man. And then what he's talking about on Friend or Foe, just the tactical movements that he's discussing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The themes on the evils that he's discussing, how the game mutilates you and leaves you different than before you started. I'm just like, man, listen, I can't take a drop away from the impact that had on me when I was finally able to really understand it.
The second time you brought it back.
Oh my God, man.
So, I mean, similar, well, not really similar. I'm sorry. When I was really exposed to Reasonable Doubt, it was from hanging on a block and seeing like the older guys from the neighborhood coming back from like OT. So they be telling stories about going OT and breaking down this album and explaining it. But the standouts, like Brooklyn's Finest, for him to go toe to toe with Big, and like it was like like who got who, like they was going toe to toe.
And see, I gotta admit something. I gotta admit something, and I know people gonna say this is blasphemy. I already know, but that's not one of my favorite joints on the album. I never liked the beat in Brooklyn's Finest. I never liked the beat. Obviously, Jay-Z and Biggie, they go for this and they do their thing. I was never a fan of the beat. I was also amazed, though, that he had Big. I mean, we knew that they were boys, but I was like, damn, he got Big too? You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? But, of course, we knew that they was boys.
So,
and that's not lost on me that he had a Biggie feature on the album. Actually, there's more features on this album than there exists on Ready to Die.
Yeah.
And the fact that Biggie is one of them it's not lost on me, right? So I give it, a grain for that purpose. But I just feel like in my older age, especially being some experiences, Reasonable Doubt to me is just like it's so relatable. It's so tactical. It paints a portrait of a hustler and his problems and what he had to do. And I love that. I love that Foxy Brown feature. I love Sauce Money on there. You know what I mean? And especially when we're talking about Brooklyn's finest, I feel like even though it has the biggest feature on it, it is far from the best track on the album. And maybe y'all could speak to this. There's a line on there that Biggie says where he's like, "Get it, two Pacs."
Yeah, two Pacs. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that is not the only time that people use Pac's name as wordplay. And I'm like, I would like, is there a definition to the term Pac?
Well,
that exists outside of Tupac?
Or where his name came from?
Yeah. Like, does his name originate from something that already meant something? Or is every reference to the term Pac a reference to Tupac? Because I've heard Eminem, flip the Pac name. I've heard Biggie flip the Pac name, and I'm like, what is a Pac?
Well. The thing was more about
the allegations.
The allegations of Pac being with Faith Evans. That's the reason, because Biggie was not mentioning Pac at all. Right, he wasn't mentioning Pac at all. It was like people was trying to get Biggie to mention Pac, and he was like, "No, I'm not mentioning Pac." And then you hear him on this, it's like, "Oh shit!" He just, at least he just said Pac's name. Like, what's going on? Because
he tried to make fun of it.
Right, he tried to make fun of it because Pac claimed that he banged Faith, so on and so forth, with the whole beef between Pac and Biggie. So that was
what month did this? What month did Reasonable Doubt drop? Because Big died, because Big died in 96. I know he was alive to record it.
Oh.
But was he alive still when it dropped?
Yeah,
I have my dates messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you got to think. Yeah, you got to think.
Reasonable Doubt came out June 1996.
He died in September, didn't he?
Biggie died in 1997.
Yeah, Pac died in 96.
97 that. Pac died 96.
Right?
And then Big died 97 that next year. He died early 97 then.
Yeah, Pac was let me just make sure. Yeah, September 1996.
September 96. Okay, so that was when Pac died. Okay.
Yeah, and you got to think this is the reason Pac started mentioning Jay-Z. Like, this was Jay's affiliation with Big. You know what I mean? Like, and for you to mention me on this dude's debut album, all right, now I got a bomb on him too.
Right. And you know what's crazy? If Jay-Z was successful, if Nas wasn't, that type of dude to skip out on studio sessions, he would have had Nas on his album too, because Nas was supposed to be on Dead Presidents.
Yep.
Right? He was supposed to be doing the hook instead of it being a sampled hook. But Nas never showed up to the studio sessions and so on. You know what I mean? Just imagine if he would have had Mary, Biggie, and Nas on his debut album.
So Sim, I don't know if it was even a session schedule. I know that's what Hov wanted. You know what I mean? Like, that was the what he wanted, but I don't know. I think Nas was kind of brushing him off as far as even doing it. You know what I mean?
I thought that I read somewhere that
you know what?
that they had
maybe you're
one
right.
and he never
Maybe you're
showed
right.
up.
I remember them saying they couldn't wait, so like they was tired of like asking or something to that effect. But either way, yeah, that that definitely was a big thing. That was like the birth of their animosity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, back to the Brooklyn Finest, and I don't want to keep bringing up Nas, but he's my favorite as well. So, with Brooklyn Finest, the beat, like I didn't really like the beat either, but with Nas, I'm so used to him outshining the beat or being on a beat that I don't particularly like. The first thing I ever listen to with music is lyrics. I'm kind of backwards with most people. Most people it's the beat. Now sometimes a beat will grab me before the lyrics. That's different. But if I'm just listening to a song, the first thing I'm listening to is the lyrics. You know what I mean? So that's why that one was so surprising to me. Coming of Age was probably my least favorite song on the album. Cashmere Thoughts, is that the one, or is Bring It On the one with Sauce Money?
Oh, Bring It On is Sauce Money. Yeah, Jazz Doe and Sauce Money.
All right. That's probably, I don't know. I didn't really like that song.
Really?
But Regrets was high. Ain't No Nigga, I thought that was another funny situation with the connection of the firm,
right,
and the animosity with Nas, and her being on that record. So that was funny. Can I Live? That was a great record. 22 Twos was more like a little sample, a little skit. You know what I mean? But
it was dope though. It was dope though. It was dope though. It was dope. It was dope the way he did it. The way he did it. 22 Twos. That was dope.
Wasn't that a playoff of a Big Daddy Kane record or something of that? I think it was Big Daddy Kane did something similar to that he was playing off of when he made that record. Dead Prez, that's the Nas sample. Politics as Usual is a standout for me. Feeling It, that might have been my favorite record on the album. And that had to do with both the beats and
and Feeling It popped up on a commercial somewhere like maybe a year ago. I was like, oh, hold up, like what they know about that? The thing that I really love about this album is I'm reminded of it all the time, not just because it's Reasonable Doubt, but I watch movies like Dead Presidents, and you hear the samples that Jay-Z used on the album. You know what I mean? I watch other movies, that are maybe based in the 70s or old artists or, Black Panther movies and things like that. And you hear the samples that are on this album, and it brings me right back to it, which, that's one of the reasons I produce music myself. So I'm always listening to the musical side of a song. And that's one of the things that really attracts me to this album. I'm surprised you said Coming of Age, wasn't one of your favorites. I really like Coming of Age. I never thought Memphis Bleak was great, but I just like the concept of that. I just love the concept of that.
And that's the way I looked at it, though. Like, it was a great concept record. I thought people really believed that Memphis was the next guy, and I just didn't. Like, it was a lot of young guys that I thought honestly was gonna, like, Ali Vegas. Like, I was like,
right.
That's the next guy. You know what I mean? Like,
I never thought Memphis Bleak was the next guy. He wasn't that great of a rapper. Two, he was never gonna get out of Jay-Z's shadow. You know what I'm saying? As like Jay-Z's sidekick. But that song though, I was definitely feeling that. Bring It On, yeah. you know, I would just add with Bring It On, really.
Yeah.
I
You know.
enjoyed what Sauce Money brought to the record.
I think he had best verse.
Okay, there's a conversation. All right, 22 Twos, I feel like is an underrated song.
I don't consider it a record though. You know what I mean? It was almost like a audio recording of a live performance. Now,
I mean,
the concept of that is great. If that was all concept and that wasn't a real thing that happened,
I like
it's another great concept record.
I like how he puts a skit not to stand alone, but to be a part of the intro to a song that he puts 2 verses on. And then that legendary beginning, too much West Coast dick licking. Who is he talking about?
Snoop.
Okay. All right.
Dre.
Okay, now. Okay, Snoop and Dre, right?
That's
so now, just for a moment, let's peek into Ready to Die. Before you even hear Biggie rap on Ready to Die, you hear Snoop Dogg rapping. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Biggie is on this album, so I'm not going to insinuate anything. But especially being that I listened to him back to back for the purpose of this video, okay? I was like, listen, that's a fascinating attitude to have in 96, right? A time when it seems like everybody that goes back to that time period is talking about how people would listen to West Coast hip hop and be like, wow, they're rapping over there. As if they were surprised. Can you shed some light on that? On the West Coast perception in New York in 96?
I don't think it was a surprise thing. I think it was what it was. Like I think we was rocking with the music. It wasn't like it was mainstream music. But we were listening to it. Like we was rocking with it. That's what was hot. It wasn't no animosity. It may have been an initial surprise, or when more and more guys started rapping, you know what I mean? Like different from different parts of West Coast. That might have been a little bit more surprising, but I think animosity wise, it wasn't any. I think it became more of an animosity. Like you got to think at this point with Jay's album, I'm pretty sure Hit 'Em Up was out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like the East Coast West Coast beef was already brewing. With Big's first album, there was no East Coast West Coast beef. You know what I mean? There was no tension.
Right.
Actually, him and Pac were friends at that particular point.
Right. So, one last question, but I do want to say this for those who's in the chat. I am gonna in a few minutes. I am gonna open it up so people can jump into Zoom. Not right now. In a few minutes, we will get some phone calls in as well. So I know I see Anthony Dunbar's like, oh, you need some more OGs up there. Blah 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 blah. So I know he wants to call in and get his take. On the topic. But we will open it up so people can get into the Zoom. For those who know how to get into the Zoom, we'll open it up in 10 to 15 minutes or so you can jump in and get your takes in as well. One last thing I want to ask about Reasonable Doubt, then we'll go to Ready to Die. The impact. What impact did that album have on the game? Because I think that's where these two albums are gonna separate themselves?
Well, I'll go first because I think Savvy's gonna have a honestly. I mean, he's probably gonna have a similar answer. To be honest, like I think on hip hop, I don't know if the impact was there. I think it had personal impacts on people that were living a certain life. You know what I mean? It almost became like a soundtrack to the drug dealer's life. You know what I mean? Where when we get into the other album, it's a hip hop album. You know what I mean? It had more of a impact on hip hop itself than maybe the influence of a certain lifestyle. You know what I mean? You could be a Asian kid in China and listen to Ready to Die and be like, I'm part of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that same impact came from a reasonable doubt.
No, I think I think it was really just your introduction to Jay-Z for a lot of hip hop fans. It was your intro, like, okay, here he is, a guy who had been through a few different styles of rapping. Now here he is with his debut album, and here's your introduction. But you're right. It didn't have that like, oh shit, let me rethink what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? When I put out my next album, because this shit right here is changing things. It wasn't really, it wasn't that type of thing with it. It was dope, but it wasn't that kind of, damn, I think I got to rethink my game. You know what I mean? I don't think it had that kind of an impact. And, at that time, you think about 1996 and the albums that came out in 96.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a powerful, it was some serious albums that came out in 1996. That Reasonable Doubt had to compete with. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I just know it didn't have that big of an impact. It was a dope album. For me personally, I love the instrumentation behind it. But I don't know if it had. It definitely didn't have the kind of impact Ready to Die did. But go ahead, Savvy. I don't think it did.
I'll say this. Well, actually, I'm gonna ask this more as a question. Is there as much plug talk in the game as the game goes on, especially in the early 2000s to now, if Reasonable Doubt does not come out?
All right, you're making a good point, because I think what you're saying is, impact wise, he made a lane for a certain type of rapper,
even if it was a slow burn.
Okay.
I could definitely see that being an impact. I could definitely. It made the drug dealer know that, hey, I could transition out of this life and go into this life. And that's a good point question.
I get it, because you don't. But you don't think they were already figuring?
No, think about it
this way.
Think about it real quick.
Right. Go on.
At one point, and I want to say 96 fits the time range. If you was a street dude, it wasn't cool to be a rapper.
I know. It was on Reasonable Doubt. Right? You hear Damon Dash. You talk about Jay-Z, that in my lifetime, nigga. Da, 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 da. Right?
Yeah. So in that aspect, if you was, let's say like this, if you was in that life,
mm-hmm.
and you wanted to get out, and you wanted to transition out, that was a lane that wasn't a popular lane. You know what I mean? Like before him, it really wasn't popular. You know what I mean? And to make it even tougher on him, because people knew he was a rapper as far as like because he tried it prior to when he was rapping fast. You know what I mean? That was more of him showing hip hop skills, whereas him changing from that to all right, I'm a target audience.
Right. But you don't like if you listen to It Was Written was a very mafioso album too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There is a lot of drug rap and It Was Written, a lot of stories talking about drug deals going wrong, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? It was that same exact thing. Let me see, when did It Was Written come out? I think it came out before Reasonable Doubt. I'm not sure. Iron Man came out in '96.
Iron Man was fire. Didn't Mobb Deep drop in '96? It wasn't their debut, but they dropped something in '96.
Let me see. It Was Written came out July 2nd, so it came out a little bit after Reasonable Doubt, like maybe a week or so after Reasonable Doubt.
But Sim, here's the difference. Jay-Z stood on the fact that I am this guy. You know what I mean? Like when Nas was rapping about kilos and blah 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 blah, like everybody knew it was storytelling. He wasn't trying to portray himself as I'm really this guy. Even with him saying "Esco this, Esco that," you know what I mean? Like we knew that. Like that was the thing that a lot of people were doing. It was Escobar, Gambino, this. You know what I mean? Like it was that you're right. But the difference is Jay was like I'm rapping, no persona. You know what I mean? No,
Descriptive.
This is who I am. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I think, you could have a point there. That he kind of did. Maybe I don't want to say invent that style, but say, okay, it's okay for you it's okay to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? You're not just gonna steal my chain. You know what I mean? It's okay to be a rapper. You're just not gonna beat up the rappers and take everything from them.
There you go.
Yeah. Crazy albums came out in '96, man. The Score, Reasonable Doubt, It Was Written, All Eyes on Me dropped in '96. Outkast came out with Aliens in '96. Philadelphia, The Roots came out in '96. Redman dropped, Muddy Waters. Iron Man came out. Busta Rhymes came out with The Coming. Everything came out in '96, bro. Everything came out with '96.
You think about The Score? That's the Fugees, right? Even one of their records, they was referencing, like everybody trying to be a Gambino, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I remember. I was like, they dissing Nas out this joint. I was like, they trying to diss Nas on this joint, or Lauryn Hill is.
Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? Like everybody was just flipping their name into some kind of drug dealing mob boss type joint. So yeah, that definitely was a era of at least New York rap.
Okay. All right. Let's get into Ready to Die. Let's jump into Ready to Die a little bit because Ready to Die is 17 tracks on the album. Clearly it's Biggie's first album, and I see some people in the chat, mention Who Shot You and stuff like that. Who Shot You is on the remastered version. It wasn't on the original version of the album. All right, it came out after. That was on the remastered version. But go ahead, Tony.
I'm not even gonna do it like a track for track thing, but I will say like I was saying, a second ago, album as a whole, man, the range on the album is phenomenal. He literally like talked about everything. Like from growing up, like Juicy. I have an argument that is like the greatest song of the modern rap era. Like if somebody wants to know like the story of like big story, like that's a perfect depiction of him being a kid, listening to hip hop, idolizing guys, wanting to do it, it happening, him not believing it, like a dream come true. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff is that's a great record. And then he has concept records, the suicidal thoughts, um, the fact that he can make you dance. You know what I mean? Like he can make you think. He can give you that street record that you listen to on the block. Like I think it's a no brainer for me that as far as albums, like this was the one. You know what I mean? Like it's range.
Yeah, that's it right there. You said it, range. You know, his ability to be so versatile. Biggie is one of the first. I'm trying to, but I don't want. I'm trying to think back before I say this, but maybe one of the first East Coast MCs that could cross over but still keep their street credibility. Right? Not many artists, especially at this time, 94, could do that. It was like, yo, if you putting that out, you a sucker, man. Like, you forgetting about your core audience and all of that. But Biggie was just smooth enough and was so versatile that he could, and of course times were beginning to change a little bit. So he came out at that perfect time where, time was changing. Puff and Bad Boy was ushering the whole shiny suit era. But this was before that. He was not shiny suit on this album. You know what I mean? Puff had his own thing. Big, you had the shiny suit, but Big brought the ruggedness to the shiny suit video or something. You know what I mean? Or song or whatever. But he was able to just do it all. He could talk to a street dude on the street level and still talk to a street dude on I'm in the club dancing with this chick level. You know what I'm saying?
And then talk to somebody, a street dude's mom. You know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, be like,
and if you watch the documentaries, you understand, just where his mindset was when he wrote the album. And what he was thinking, how he was thinking, when he wrote the album. And that's how you got the range of songs. I think that's how you got the introspection in the songs, especially like suicidal thoughts. I mean,
warning,
right? The story, just
everyday struggle.
You know what I mean? Obviously, Juicy.
He was going through it, man.
Just the introspection and the dealings that he was having with his mom, the battles, the struggle he was having with his mom about, am I in the street? Am I, she don't want me to be in the street, but I'm in the street because I'm doing what I got to do. Like, you got all of it in the album. You know what I'm saying? And every person, man, has a million different sides, and Biggie was able to hit on all of these sides in this album. Without a persona, just being Biggie.
Yeah.
Right? Just being big. Go ahead, Tone.
That's the most impressive part. Tone, real quick, I have a question. What came out first? Okay, this might be a dumb question. What came out first? Was it Big Papa or Juicy?
Juicy, I think, was the lead single.
That was the lead single off this album.
I believe so.
Think so.
I believe so.
If that was the lead single off the album,
Yeah, because
before the
I want to say Juicy was because One More Chance came
Yeah.
out and then they did a remix that was like
Right.
just as popular as
The remix was
original.
probably, bro. Check this, yo, peep this, and anybody, Tony knows exactly what I'm talking about. Me and my man, we drove from Albany to Utica, and the only song we listened to was One More Chance. No lie, we rewound it, bro. It's an hour and 30-minute drive.
wow,
Maybe an hour and 40-minute drive. We had tapes back then. I didn't have a CD player in my car, right? I had a tape. Every single time the song ended, we hit rewind for an hour and a half, bro, and just listen to One More Chance, the remix. That joint was so crazy. That joint was so crazy.
Incredible. And Tone, I'm gonna let you get your commentary right quick. But the reason I asked that was because, and that's impressive because it's a very street album aside from just those couple singles. So if they led with that, I can imagine expectations being a certain way and it still performed a certain way, you know, in sales wise, right? But he was always talking directly to women at certain points in his music.
Mostly
and I
on the
feel
singles.
like and I feel like that was an inextractable part of his personality was his love for women, his focus on women, his pursuit of women, right? And so when you talk about the lack of persona that needs to be embodied by him and how he was able to cross over, I feel like that was his ticket in retrospect, because how many men cannot relate to, okay, I'm a certain way, but I get a certain way when I'm talking directly to women. You feel me? I feel like that's a really important part of it. And it makes me think about in the documentary that they did when he was talking about shaving his face. He was like, can't give off too much 21 vibes. I have to keep that 18 feel. And I was like, that's a fascinating thing to say for a rapper, especially at that age, because at that age you're still kind of wanting to be older. At least in my generation, you kind of wanted to be. If you was 18, you was telling people, no, I'm 21, so you can go get in the spot, right? So that you could talk to older women and be taken seriously, even though 21 is very much a baby age itself. But I just wanted to make that observation.
I hear you. The only other thing that I really wanted to add in comparison to the two, as far as the music overall, like even with Jay-Z being a spokesman, if you will, for a drug dealer, it wasn't even like a drug dealer per se. It was almost like a spokesman for a kingpin. So right. my my thing is, like, so even if you was in the street, like, you couldn't have been dabbling and then like, if you listen to Jay, or if Jay was like your guy, you had to have been either aspiring to be a bigger drug dealer than you are, or you was already a drug dealer on his level of that talk. And then, when you talk about Big, it was more, again, more relatable. You know what I mean? Like, because most of the guys, they were dibbling and dabbling in selling drugs. They were selling drugs to, because they had a kid on the way. My daughter needs Pampers, he said. Or that famous line, like, my mama got cancer in her breast. Don't ask me why I'm stressed. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It was just it was so, it was personal. Like, yeah, it was so relatable though. You know what I mean? Like, the drug dealer talk with Jay, it was almost like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not gonna reach that level of
Right.
in this game at this
Right.
time. You know what I mean? In '96, like the game is about to be over. You know what I mean? Like it was like you just got out in the time where it was right to get out. You know what I mean? Like because now the game is not the game it used to be. So
right.
Surveillance state.
And I'm gonna tell you, I was, you know, like with Jay-Z, you know, people kind of knew about him and everything, right? From, you know, just other little stuff, you know, Hawaii Sophie fame, and you know, he was, you know, rocking around with this person and that person, whatever. It almost felt like Big came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, because I actually think the first song that I ever heard wasn't Juicy. It was
bullshit.
Huh?
Party and bullshit.
You heard Party and Bullshit before and you heard anything.
Reggae joint.
Right, and the reggae joint with damn, I can't think of his name right now. Supercat. With Supercat. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, yo, like,
I'm sorry, that was not a good record to me personally. Like it was like,
but you heard Big, but Big was introduced, you know, kind of, and it was like, yo, okay. And then the first thing that I heard off this album was Unbelievable. Right? I think like on a white label record or something like that. It was like the first thing that I ever heard, and I was like, yo, this joint right here is right. Just, you know, it's unbelievable. I was like, this joint right here is just crazy.
Because
you know
that was a DJ record.
Yeah.
No, that was a DJ record.
And it was just crazy. And it just felt like, you know, obviously if you was around Brooklyn, you know, people knew, but
didn't a DJ do that record?
I don't know who did Unbelievable.
Is it Mr.
It might be, well, you know, Mr. C was.
Mr. C or Mr. C, whoever was in the documentary. I think he did that record.
I think it was Mr. C. I think Mr. C did that record. Let me see. Because that was Biggie's, you know, DJ.
While you finding those
production, you know.
While you find those facts, I'm gonna say that I still found it equally funny on my most previous re-listen as I did on my first listen. The Fuck Me interlude. Kentucky Fried Chicken eating.
You know that's Lil' Kim, right?
Yeah. Y'all can talk about the voice. I was like, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh no!
Eating.
I'm sorry, DJ.
Belly having.
DJ Premier did Unbelievable.
I should have known with the scratching.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you some of my standouts off of here, right? You know, everybody knows. Okay, give me the loot, right? Things done changed as an adult compared to my teen years. It's like, wow. Like, I was really sleeping on that before because I had my go-to tracks already saved in my library on my streaming platform. But there was a bunch of new ones I had to add to my library upon re-listening just because I was like, yo, how did I not appreciate this back then? I was going through it back then when I was listening to it, but there was just certain stuff that jumped out to me back then because I was still really cutting my teeth at open mics and everything like that. So I want to say warning. Machine Gun Funk, right? Back then for sure. The what back then for sure. These days, things done changed. Everyday struggle. Okay. I like Friend of Mine. I like Big Papa more as an adult than I did as a teenager. Right. And I was just like, I was listening to this album again, and I was just like, man, like, he was doing this thing in the street and barely even touching on it. but he would have lines where he was like, where he was talking about he keeps the fire on him for a hater, for a competitor, for a hating ass white person, for when he was getting money. Things that like I, I don't know if it's me and my bitch, but saying stuff like when it comes to sex, da da da, da da
The
da.
Thriller in Manila.
Thriller in Manila. Yeah, I was like, yo, like the seamless transition from being hard to just having the flavor and the charm that he had. I was like there's real ladies man raps, there's real womanizing raps on this album that I could not take away when I was listening to it when I was 14, 15, 16, 17 even. You feel me? And I feel like that has to go in his favor. And when we're comparing the two, I said this off the air, I felt like in terms of certain technical ability and in terms of certain aspects of cleverness, I wanted to give the edge to Hove, albeit the track list is shorter. But when it comes to the concepts that were being touched on musically between the two albums, I just got this much deeper appreciation for Big and what he chose to do on his first album. That was his first joint. And it was commercial.
Yeah, and listen, I don't even know if he consciously sat down and said, "This is what I'm gonna do." I think this is what he was already. It was just where he was living, and he needed to get it out and spit it, and that's how he spit it. Now, I do believe as he evolved as an MC, you know, he would have consciously wrote more introspective music. I mean, this was already introspective. I'm not saying it wasn't introspective, but you know, some more. You know, he would have consciously did it. Where this time, I think obviously the storytelling and those type of concepts were conscious, but some of it was just him spitting what he was living and what he was feeling, and putting it out there that way. Let me get to this phone call real quick. Call you live. What's poppin'?
Hey, what's up? It's G. What's this? Gerard Charlot. I'm the one y'all just gave the number at. What's going on?
I appreciate you, man.
Hey.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I was just trying to. So that's my era, 100%. Used to be on St. James a lot. Had some family up there, but Savvy D wanted to hear the story about Biggie getting booed on the stage. So I'm gonna run it back to you real quick. So it was summer '94. They used to have something called Greek Fest at Jones Beach. And every year there used to be like a party. There'd be like a party. There'd be like a pre-party before that. So long story short, a whole bunch of, you know, Greeks, you know, step shows, all that stuff. Craig Mack came on. You know, it was Craig Mack, Biggie, and Biggie comes in. And remember, this is a whole crowd of college-educated women. So he's coming in, you know, talking about, you know, what did he do? He's saying he did One More Chance, but then he did one step further, and he went Dreams of effing R&B chick. And they were like, that's too much. Then they booed him off the stage. So the next year, you know, now everything's live, and like Biggie is full blast in New York. I mean, like you can't go 2 blocks and was nothing going. I mean, like Biggie was everywhere. And the same college-educated chicks literally throwing panties on the stage, Biggie, I'm sorry, you know, all that stuff. So it was a good time, man. I mean, I don't think that era of music, specifically around hip-hop, will never I don't think it'll ever be replicated. I mean, I hope it does. I mean, I like some of these young cats, but when you're talking about these 2 albums, I mean, they're not even, I don't think that it's fair to have Reasonable Doubts. I mean, honestly, it should have been like 96 and 96 only. But I'm gonna keep it, it's a real talk, because Iron Man, I'm just gonna say it real quick. Iron Man was the album in '96. I mean, Wu coming off everything. Remember, they had all that. They were integrating with all the rappers in New York City. So it is what it is. But I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna get off the phone because I'm looking at these 21-year-old right here. So y'all have a good night.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. And how this came up, Reasonable Doubt versus Ready to Die. One of our boys, Julito. He brought it up on Twitter, so we said, hey, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and discuss it. But what we're doing here, this is what we're doing. Every album now, whoever wins here, and obviously we did it because it was two iconic artists' debuts. We're gonna take the winner from here, and we're gonna compare it to another album. So we're gonna keep it going. So we're gonna keep it going, keep it rocking.
Shout out to Gerard Charlot.
Yeah, appreciate that call, man. Shout out to you.
This is gonna be a tough album to knock off.
Tough album to knock off.
I'm gonna make a suggestion that we bracket it off. So we do maybe 1, 2, we do 3 more matchups, not including this album. So 6. We do 6 more albums. And then we bracket them off, and then
we might have to do something like that because it's gonna be a lot. This gonna take this will take out a lot of classics already that don't even give them a chance, right?
Yeah.
So this might just be the warm up conversation. You know what I mean? And then we'll have to bracket it off like that or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This just might be the warm up conversation. I don't know. It just, the conversation came out of pure just, wasn't even anything made up. It just came out of just conversation. But Caller, you live. What's poppin'?
Sam.
What's good, brother? How you feeling?
You don't know what you started.
Hey, yo, this is it though. This is.
No, you don't know what you started, Sam. You got me here typing like sentences back to back to back. Stop. Go play a big record. Stop. Go play a J record. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Before I do that, good night, Tony Crow.
Good evening.
Respect, Sam. There was a while where the testament to CD or to tapes and stuff like that was in the Jeep or in the car. And those 2 albums right there for a very long time, then you add on Life After Death, was the only joint rocking in my vehicle for a minute.
Yeah.
Because that's how monstrous those 2 artists were in a sea of sharks. But Big in particular, and you mentioned my favorite Big record, the One More Chance remix, which sparks the birth of remixes. Because after that, Puff is remixing everything. And everybody, every other, Puff is remixing everything.
Yeah. Remix.
If the original joint is another sample joint by DeBarge.
Right.
And they just got a better sample DeBarge joint for him to jump. And I've heard you mention, before about a rapper being in the pocket. That man is so in the pocket on that record. Like, I remember one day, me and my lady, we went somewhere and we was on a long drive, and lyric for lyric, back, forth, by the time she got back to the car, back home, that's all we was playing because, I'm driving, and back then, your lady don't drive, you drive. So she can't touch your level. She can't touch your music, nothing. So that right there, but I want to say this about that era, because that was my era, and for young cats to understand something about music. We used to listen to our parents, even though we didn't think we liked it,
Right.
because you hear the influence in those great songs. All of those great songs were great sample music that came before them. You know what I'm saying? So, like for the reasonable doubt, politics as usual. That's my song. That's
Politics as usual.
Yeah, stylistics. Hurry up this way again.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Big is my, I think I said it before on another show that Big to me is the that's no disrespect to all of those, as I watch the Raekwon versus Starks, because cats who love Ghost, you call them Stark. For all of those hip hoppers that come and gone, and it's just a time that lives in my mind that we could never forget, and so forth. So you did a good thing tonight. I don't know what you did, because you done started a whole new situation here where you have to keep going albums to albums here.
Yo, we're gonna have to, man. We're gonna have to keep going albums to albums, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna, every week we're gonna figure out how to do it the best way to make sure, we comparing two good albums. But sometimes you just gotta go when you got two people like Jay and Big and their debut albums. You say, hey, let's see how they look compared to each other.
And as big as Big was at that time, when they called him the King of New York, and certain cats felt a certain way or whatever, he didn't call himself the King of New York. He called himself Frank White.
Right.
Everybody
Exactly.
Knew who that was.
And the media and stuff ran with it. And we're not going to get to the stuff that brought cats down, but it was just a time where you remember where you were all those times, and the unfairness to Reasonable Doubt, its proper due at that time.
Right.
And the other unfairness to Reasonable Doubt was it came out when the score came out. And the score was shutting everything down.
Yeah, that album, the score was crazy album.
True.
It was shutting down
that's
everything.
All I want to see, kick in and just, I'm gonna go back to playing some music while I'm listening to the cats and stuff. But
all right,
y'all know what it is. Stand
no
for
doubt.
life.
Appreciate you, man. Peace. All right, so let's talk about the impact. Oh, the last thing I did want to say though is I was so proud. I was a huge Method Man fan back then.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And when the album came out, I was so proud that Method Man was on the album.
The what?
I was gonna bring that up.
I was so proud. I was just like, yes. It just felt, that's what it felt like to me, like, yes. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like the two was just like, Method Man was another version of Biggie almost, but not Biggie, but almost another version of Biggie. And, he could bring that street edge, but was trying to also make records for the ladies. And, he was versatile like that too. He never really reached to where I thought Meth was going to reach, but I thought that it was a nice pairing with them two on the what, you know what I mean? And
I'll say
dope.
this. I think Method Man is underrated as a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. And even to the extent that when I was a teenager, somebody asked me who I thought the best member of the Wu-Tang Clan was. And this is going to surprise y'all because I have listed Ghostface in my top 5 multiple times to y'all, right? But when the first time I heard that question, I was like Method Man.
Well, you know, back.
But listen now. That was me listening to him as a teenager, and like you said, his appeal was kind of wider
Yeah.
than some other members. When I listen to his features, especially right now, no one has better features than Method Man and Ghostface, especially when they feature with an R&B girl. Go listen to the song they did with Tiana Taylor. Go listen to
You gonna want me back?
yes. Go listen to what Method did with Mary J.
Or Ghost?
Well, Ghost, of course. Love Don't Live Here No More goes to as well. You know, with Michael K. Williams in the video. You know what I'm saying? But go on, Sim.
No, I was gonna say no. Meth back, you know, back then, Meth was, I mean, he was the star, right? But before he was the star back in '92, whatever, I don't know what year it was. Like he was the star. He was, you know, METHOD. I mean, he was, you know, he was the guy. And he was the most the most versatile, the one that had the widest appeal. You know what I mean? It's just his solo albums never had the right.
I think his solo albums didn't market to his, and this is no knock on him. I think he had a larger female audience than male audience, and I think he never catered to his female audience on his solo album. And I think that's what kind of hurt him.
Yeah.
I feel you.
And then the closest thing, I guess, to the success that he should have had was the Blackout success with him and Red.
With him and Red,
Man. It became like a tandem.
Yeah.
Man, these guys are crazy.
Yeah.
And they could get comical and all that.
Right. So. End up doing movies and everything. You know what I'm saying? Because of their persona. All right, so the impact of Ready to Die.
So personally, I feel like Reasonable Doubt probably had a bigger impact, but just as far as a hip hop impact, I could see the hip hop. I could see the impact of Ready to Die, like locally, globally, like nationally. You know what I mean? Like, and it just reached more people, and it was a real hip hop album. Like, you know what I mean? It had every aspect of hip hop in it.
Yeah, because, you know, at the time, New York hip hop wasn't really selling records like that. You know what I mean? And you had Snoop, you know, and Dr. Dre and them dudes was like, you know, they had already figured it out. Like, you know what? Yeah, we want to keep it real, but, you know, we're gonna make people groove at the same time. You know, and New York was kind of it was having a hard time finding that kind of footing, and Ready to Die was able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Ready to Die was able to take New York hip hop and bring it to a mainstream level while still keeping that street integrity. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Ready to Die was able to do for New York hip hop. So yeah, I think it had a bigger impact than Reasonable Doubt. I don't know if it made people want to change the way that they was rhyming. You know, that kind of impact, I don't know, but culturally, yeah, I think it definitely had a bigger impact.
This one is a harder gauge for me because I don't remember hearing a guy like that, Fat Man, okay?
The Fat Black Man.
A fat black man.
Fat, black, ugly motherfucker.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If he was a regular guy.
I'm saying that's his words.
Quotes.
That's
These
not
are
my
quotes.
words.
These are all quotes.
These are quotes. That's his words, man.
but that speaks to the point I'm getting at, right? His self-deprecation on his album, even indirectly. He might bring somebody else on the album, like the F Me feature, the F Me skit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bring Lil Kim in to just talk about how grotesque and to just rag on me while I'm smashing. Okay, the fact that if he was a regular guy, I believe he would still be able to attract women off of charm. Right?
Yeah, that's how he was.
Even though it would have been tougher, of course, the money and fame helps and the talent helps, of course, right? You know, but I just feel like when was there a guy like that talking about what he was talking about that was keeping it so real and personal and not necessarily even like you could tell he left it to Puff to just package him and make him presentable and feel like he was the man and make niggas want to be him, right? And women want to be with him. Why he just does what he does and is who he is.
Right. Let me get to this call. I'll call you live, man. What's poppin'?
Hey, what's up, man? My name is Malfoy. I'm Jackson. I listen to all types of rap music in my life. I'm 40 years old. And the dude who said that Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z, or Biggie Smalls album, I can't pick.
Say that again.
I can't choose between the two. They're both legends.
Hey,
yes, sir.
No, I'm saying they're dope albums. I mean, listen, really, you don't have to choose though, right? You could just be like, F it. I'm just rocking with both of them. But yeah.
Hey, Sim, I got a question.
But
if you had to go on a trip and you could only bring one,
Friend or Foe from Reasonable Doubt. That song, thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Friend or Foe. Yeah,
Friend or Foe. Yeah, no doubt. That's hey, you're kind of in and out a little bit, my man. You is kind of going in and out just a little bit. If I had to choose one, that's a tough one right there. If I had to choose just one to take with me, I don't even know, bro. You know, I might be like, you know, I might dub me a tape and take my favorite songs off of both of them joints. So, you know what I'm saying? I make my last mixtape ever. You know what I'm saying? and take that joint on the island with me.
Brooklyn's finest mixtape.
Yeah, you can call in, ladies and gentlemen, 516-405, excuse me, 2246. If anybody wants to we're going to be off in just a couple of minutes, but if anybody wants to get some thoughts into the chat, those who have the link to get into the video chat, you can jump in now, grab, get a couple of thoughts out, and then, we're going to head off. What we do want to know is how do we want to set this up? We'll keep on going, this album versus that album.
Give us some suggestions.
Give us some suggestions. Do we want to take the winner of this and go up against another album, which is going to be hard to beat, Ready to Die, or do we need to set up some brackets and go with brackets?
Yeah, I say we put this album in the winner's circle because it won, right? And we're not gonna and then we go to another pairing, and then whoever will go in the winner's circle, and then when we get maybe a 10, we'll have those 10 winners go against each other.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. And how to do it. Let me see. Maybe my man is a little bit more clear this time. Caller, you live, man. Hello?
Yeah, am I live?
Yeah, you're live, man. But last time you were a little bit, you were going in and out, so I couldn't hear you as clear. Sounds like it's a little better now.
And they're kind of staticky,
Okay. All right, so go ahead, man.
No, I just want to hear you guys talk. This is real interesting to me. I don't want to be the one talking.
So I mean, but thoughts on? I didn't fully hear the question that you had last time. So you want to repeat that?
Well, all right. Like, if you had to choose one song, either Jay-Z's "Reasonable Doubt" and Biggie's what's that? That's Juicy, right?
One song.
Yeah,
song.
Ready to Die had Juicy. Yeah.
Yeah, if you had to choose one song, I think that President is also on Jay-Z's "Reasonable Doubt." There's also "Can I Live." If you had to choose, pick between one song, which one would you pick?
If I had to choose a song, one song that I'm gonna take with me from one of those albums. Sheesh. I mean, listen, I listened to One More Chance remix for an hour and a half, bro. I'm probably rocking with that.
Where am I going? Am I going on a vacation? Am I moving and I'm not gonna have music? No, you know what I mean? Like it depends. Like, what am I about to go do?
Right. Right.
That might determine my song. But I think I go Juicy. If I just have to pick off jump, I go with Juicy because of the excuse me, the nostalgia of the record as far as a hip hop thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It brings me back to, like, Big was obviously a little older than me, but it brings me back to when I was a little kid with some of the things he's talking about with rapping Duke.
You never thought the hip hop would take it this far.
People don't know about that stuff. So.
Yeah, man. No doubt. Hey, my man, I appreciate the call and the question, man. Good question.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, man, me and my man, we listened to One More Chance for an hour and a half, bro. An hour and a half straight. Kept hitting rewind. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Yo, what's good, baby?
I'm chilling, man. How you feeling?
What's cracking?
All right. Nah. I think the best one was like Ready to Die, because it was like hit after hit after hit. Puff had the whole clubs, the underground, and like, remember the Sadat X? He had the song was Sadat X. He had, like, it was just hits. If you can compare something like, let's say, if any of y'all listen to reggae, like Shabba Ranks, how he had like a whole run or whatever like that. That's how, like, Big's run was, and it was just like hit after hit after hit, and like Reasonable Doubt. The best song on Reasonable Doubt was with Big, and Big crushed him on that.
I mean, see, that wasn't my favorite song. That wasn't my favorite song on Reasonable Doubt. I mean, it's a dope song.
Finest?
It wasn't my favorite song on Reasonable Doubt. Nah.
What's your favorite?
I mean, the song that stood out to me in the beginning when I first got the album was Can't Knock the Hustle. I love that song. But then Politics as Usual, Can I Live? Those two joints right there, just the instrumentation and the concept of the songs, really stick with me a lot. I never really liked the beat. I know I'm in the minority here, but I never really liked the beat on Brooklyn's Finest. I just never was.
Hear the lyrics.
I did, but of course,
the lame scuffles.
Of course I did, but I just never really.
Calf muscle.
I mean, I just never really enjoyed the beat. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I don't know. That beat was crazy.
Hey,
I just think
I see what you're saying about Brooklyn's Finest, brother. But among the track list of Reasonable Doubt, are you putting it over The Evils? Are you putting it over Can I Live? I
think Biggie's album was better.
Oh yeah, Biggie's album was better. There's no doubt about that. Biggie's album was better. Was more impactful.
The One More Chance remix wasn't even on the original album.
I know. No.
Okay.
And we ain't even put Who Shot You in it yet.
That wasn't on the album either. That wasn't on the original album either.
It's on a remaster.
Yeah, I'm like, but that time it was like he was just dropping, like it was like he was dropping hits every week.
Yeah, I know.
True that.
Ain't no that. I mean,
it was like every week.
And lyrically speaking, right? Lyrically speaking, do you think Hove came harder, on Brooklyn's Finest or on Friend or Foe? Because I feel like the wordplay on Friend or Foe outdoes what he did on Brooklyn's Finest.
I would say Brooklyn's Finest, though. He was really killing it, but he ain't better than Biggie.
No, of course not. But to me, that puts more of a point in the column of Friend or Foe. Lyrically, at least, just lyrically.
Friend or Foe was pretty good. That wasn't my favorite song. Like, Can't Knock the Hustle on it. That was probably my favorite joint with Mary. And
that's a good joint.
I didn't really listen to like his album like that. I was hanging out with my man Rue and them. I remember, when the Sun Rises in the East dropped. I like underground stuff like that.
Yeah, that Sun Rises in the East.
Oh my God!
I listen to that joint. Now. That album it gets slept on, bro. That album is just dumb dope. I don't care. That album is crazy. That's a crazy album.
I was in D&D when they was doing most of that stuff. When he did that Invasion and all that, that wasn't on the album, no. But I don't know. Primo he was killing it.
Primo, J. Rule and Primo, man. Yo, if you have not heard The Sun Rises in the East, please go check that album out. That's a crazy album.
And if you have not watched me and Simeon's, well, really just Simeon's, and then my just additional commentary of our interview with J. Rule.
Yeah, go check
back
that
and
out.
Find that. Because that man's having a blast in Europe.
Yeah. It was a really, really good. If you're a J. Rule Damager fan, go back, my man, and check. We did an interview with him, and he just talked about a lot of stuff. He talked about the beef with Puffy and everything, man. It was a dope interview.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, man, y'all enjoy y'all night, man. I keep listening to y'all, man. I keep listening to the Knicks, man. I'm a Knicks fan.
Appreciate you, man.
Yo, I appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
it. All right, man. I'm going to get back to listening to y'all, man. That's all I have to say.
Appreciate you, bro. Peace.
Sorry, salute to the caller. Real quick, I just wanted to ask, is Brooklyn in the house? What up, Josh?
What's good? Yes, sir.
Salute, Josh.
What's going on, y'all? First and foremost, welcome back, Sam. Welcome back, the Front Stoop.
Yeah,
what I
mean?
Bringing it back. It was been a couple of days, a little bit of a delay, but I'm glad you're back kicking it off. And this topic, I've been waiting for this topic, since you put it in there in the YouTube. So I have a little bit of bias with this topic, and I'll tell you why. I lived in Marcy. I was in Marcy during this whole time period. I moved from Marcy in about '99, like after Hard Knock Life came out, and Jay was starting to get up the whole rock, Amili and all those guys from Philly. So I have a huge Jay-Z bias because Jay-Z, I used to like steal the tapes and put them in there and take them out, flip them around and play the other side when I was young. I was young doing this, like stealing my cousin's tapes, you know what I'm saying? And Jay was always coming back to the hood, coming back to the projects during the summertime, showing out or whatever. So I grew up, Jay-Z was just always my dude. But I think, and as far as this topic overall, I think Big got it. I think Rated Dot has it. And I think it's for a few simple facts. One, I think because the fact that Biggie died prematurely, I think that, Biggie said to himself, you're nobody till somebody kills you. And I'm not saying Biggie was a nobody. Biggie was obviously, right. Biggie was, at the top, But just the fact that he died prematurely, people start to reminisce and be like, yo, Biggie was that dude, and especially in his first album. And the fact that Biggie had minimal features on his first album. Method Man was the only feature he had. Jay-Z, on the other hand, you had Mary, you had Big. You had Source Money. And Tone, I don't know what you're talking about. That Bring It On track was dope. I don't know what you're talking about. Sauce Money killed that. Yo, I'm beating down pussy from Sugar Hill to the Shark Ball.
Yeah.
In the mark off. He killed that.
Yeah, I said that he had the standout verse on it.
Right.
To me. But
killed it.
For the album wise, I just felt like it was a showcase of lyricism. I'll give him that. But for that album, to me, that was like such an introspective album that a lot of people don't even credit it for the introspectiveness. You know what I mean? Like I keep saying it wasn't a drug dealer's album, but it was more than that. You know what I mean? It was also a get out of the drug business album. It was also, tells you the complications of living that life as well. So but it was a good song. It's just my least favorite.
Right. And again, I think this is a really, really tough argument for me because I love Reasonable album. Savvy, like you said, The Evils, that track was just, oh man, all the double entendre and triple entendres in the song and the juxtap, it was just brilliant. That song was just so brilliant on the Evils track. And also Sam, the song when Memphis Bleak took over the Coming of Age. I just the beat of it. It's just like you can just relax in your car, just playing it, and like you just, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, this is really, really tough. But I think overall, I think I would give the edge to Ready to Die just because Biggie was just so raw with it. And the fact that he just did it basically with no features, no major features on there. And it's big, you know what I'm saying? Big died prematurely. So people tend to not overhype, but it's hard to explain. But I guess give more to Big just because he passed away. So and from that aspect, I think Ready to Die had it.
We look upon his music more fondly and with more care than we would if he was still here. We'd be a lot more critical.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easier to be critical of a guy who is still here, especially a guy like Hove, who is winning in so many ways. Seems almost like he can't lose, right? And unless you're talking about a Nas comparison, you know what I'm saying? And then and then goes on to do what he does for so many more albums after that, right? Like I was gonna ask you guys a question.
Hold on. But before you do that, Savvy, I just want to say one thing. There's a dude in the chat, Robert Armstrong. He said, turn these dudes' mics off because we didn't know that Primo produced Unbelievable. Bro, you know what? Don't worry about it. You don't remember everything. Okay? How about that?
I knew it was a DJ. I sure enough said it was a DJ.
You know what I'm saying? It happens, bro. How about that? Just deal with that.
A lot of hip hop happened since then. Man. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't keep all the details to mind. I had to look back and see that it was whose voice it was on certain songs, because at times to me, Foxy Brown sounded like it could have been a Milk, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not
to Tone's point, real quick, Sam. To Tone's point about the what Jay-Z's first album did, like as far as laying the framework for the rest of I think the Reasonable Doubt album was the first album that we heard entrepreneurial, and I'm not just talking about drugs. I'm talking about just entrepreneurial, mixing music and business, because they were selling this the tape out the car. That's what they were going around the neighborhood selling it. They were doing it themselves. They were independent and they were doing the music that way. And I think with that backdrop of the how do you say, the entrepreneurial, the business, owning your masters and all that, I think the Reasonable Doubt album was the first album to really bring that to the forefront and let these rappers know, like, yo, you can do this by yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't need any major labels to go out and promote your music. You can do all this by yourself and you can make all that money off the top and you can control everything that you put out there. So, Reasonable Doubt definitely is up there. That's what makes it so tough, but I would have to go with Big.
The mogul mentality was definitely something that I took away from that album as well. Right. And tell me, y'all, what does it take for a rapper who emerges after the 90s? So I'm talking about from the year 2000 and after. What does it take for a rapper from that era who debuts in that era to surpass the titans of the 90s and 80s, to surpass the pioneers? what do you need to see for that judgment to come in and be like, okay, you are better than so and so?
To surpass is gonna be tough, but to stand toe to toe, I think we have some guys. I think the Coles, the Kendricks, you know what I mean? Like the elites of today can stand right next to the elites of last decade and the year before. But I wouldn't necessarily say surpass just because people hold spots in our hearts,
right?
And then
Because
our
I
memories.
feel like this. I feel like this. If you're still alive and you're a pioneer, there's nothing keeping you away from the mic. Number one, okay. Number two, okay. Just like you can't blame a rapper for dying, you can't blame a rapper for living either. Okay. So if a rapper goes on to have 7 albums and they all fire and they all bring something fresh and they got their own style, I feel like even though certain people from that era could not make it to the longevity that they did, I feel like you cannot take away from what they've done. I'm waiting on Kendrick to drop one more album, okay? And if it does what it's supposed to do, man, he's already in my top 6, rotating in and out the top 5. If he does what he's supposed to do, I don't know that I can say that he's not better than everybody.
I mean, you're entitled to that. Especially, I'm sorry, Sim, but you said you were born the year of Ready to Die and was what 2 when Reasonable Doubt came out. That's like me saying, Cool in the Gang or somebody is they the greatest group ever, and I that's gonna be very hard for me to say that. Or in reverse, like Mobb Deep, but let me say that they're the greatest group ever, and somebody a little bit older may be like, nah, Kool in the Gang or such and such. They invented it. They're pioneers. You know what I mean? So it's fair for you because of your age range,
right?
And
yeah.
But by that same point, Tone, if Mobb Deep comes out and they innovate their rap style beyond what they started off with Kool in the Gang, right? And then Kool in the Gang is still rapping, what's stopping them from innovating further and taking it up a notch?
Nah, I mean, I get it. I think here's the hard thing for me with the new guys, right? Mm-hmm. They're gonna be able to make great music, but the culture is so changed now, right?
That's true.
It's just so different now because then, like, we were the only ones really listening to not the only ones, but it was, we were like, yo, y'all need to respect this music.
Right.
Y'all need to respect this. You know what I'm saying? Because this is telling our story to you. So y'all need to respect it. Now it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's worldwide and everybody, has grabbed a hold of it. It's still our story, but everyone's grabbed a hold of it. We were like fighting for the respect then. Back then we were still even being told like that's garbage and it's not gonna last. It's only got a few more years left. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But like we just like broke down all the walls. We broke down the walls, the ceiling, everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so it's just so different because it was, a different feeling from where rappers were coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like I was thinking about not this exact same thing the other day, but I was thinking about this. Back then, like music was, you take an Illmatic album, take that album, right? There's a lot of imperfections on that album, but there's a lot of imperfections on it, but it's still perfect. Right? Like you can listen to you can listen to One Love, and if you listen to it, you can hear just a little bit where the beat doesn't hit where it's supposed to.
Right.
Right? Just a tiny bit. It's almost like it struggles to get there just a tiny bit, but it still sounds perfect. Where today, everything is just perfect on the sound. Like, it's just like perfect. All the beats hit just perfect, right? Because it's you know, it's more, it's way more polished. The sounds weren't as polished. They were more gritty, you know, but you loved it anyway, you know, and it created the culture that you have of it. And it's just a little bit different because, you know, it's almost like, not all artists, obviously, but there's a lot of artists that just seem manufactured.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? True. Where, you know,
I feel like this, right? There's certain guys that's Teflon. I feel like Rakim is Teflon, right? Like there's almost nothing you can do to knock Rakim away from what he achieved. Because I still go back and listen to the old Rakim, and I'm like, yo, this could drop now, and I would love it, right? Like I would love it, right? I feel like Nas is like that. I feel like Jay-Z is like that, even though Jay-Z has, to me, an unlistenable album. Right? I'm not gonna say which album it is. I think you know what album.
Volume 1. Volume 1.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking Magna Carta.
I don't know about that.
Hey, can I ask you guys a quick question? It maybe you don't agree with me, but do you think there's a Jay-Z album that could stack up better compared directly with Ready to Die than Reasonable Doubt?
The blueprint could be there.
Because he only had one feature, and that was Eminem on Renegade. Well, but top to bottom, that album was just classic.
Well,
how about Black Album?
It also showed range. Like, I think that's the reason why Ready to Die is so much better, because Reasonable Doubt is a pocket. It's only for a select few of individuals.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Ready to Die is just a hip hop album. You know what I mean? Like, it's global. Like, it don't matter what country you're in. If you like hip hop, you could relate and understand to more of that album than.
That's a good point.
Than Reasonable Doubt. So I just think matchup wise, it album for album, it may, even though I think Reasonable Doubt is his best album, I think another album might have matched up better head to head.
I think Blueprint is his best album. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Those two albums are neck and neck. Ain't no doubt about it.
And the point
Reasonable Doubt and Blueprint, there's definitely, Blueprint might be better. It might be better because he was a little bit more comfortable with who he was, with himself as an artist on the Blueprint.
It's a better body of work for sure.
Sold the most too.
But my personal, like, again, my personal influence from the album.
Right.
I feel like we need to set a criteria for what artists need to do to be able to stand next to the titans of yesteryear. And I feel like one of those things is one of the reasons why, I mean, people would put J. Cole in this category as well, but because of his subject matter and the way he goes about certain things, I wouldn't put Cole in that category. But if you can drop music that sounds like it could fit in back then, but still goes on to be successful now, I feel like that says a lot. So that's why, to me, Kendrick is one of those guys that I feel like is really.
You mean transcending eras? That's what you're talking about, like
transcending eras.
Right.
Exactly. I got you. I feel like Freddie Gibbs is a sicko in certain ways.
Yeah, right? I don't think. I think Cole more so than Kendrick.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do this tonight, Tony. We're not gonna. Okay, we can say that for a different time. But I see what you're saying. I know why you're saying it, and I agree with you. But because of deeper details that I'm not gonna go into right now, I just don't agree. Okay? But
Hey, Sab, one thing, let me say this. When you talk about setting the criteria, right? To me, that's when you start to get that manufacturedness. Because now when you set up a criteria, and I know you're not talking about like we need an elder statesman in hip hop to say, if you do this, and this, then you can reach our status. I know you're not saying that, but if there is some kind of criteria, now you got all these people that say, oh, let me study this criteria.
Cheat code.
And do everything that's in this criteria. Right? It's almost like a teacher teaching to the test. Right? They say, here's what's on the test. Now you go past the test. You know what I'm saying? So now you got people who manufacture their sound and everything just to fit that criteria. And now you got all these people that can do it like that.
But guess what, Sim? But guess what? I agree with you, but guess what? You still have to get it done. And if you get it done, or you can't get it done without assistance from songwriters, then you're disqualified.
Right.
That's one of the criteria.
Because this is what happens. They say, okay, well, you know what? Let me go get DJ Premier. I'm gonna go get Q-Tip.
It's like when I said, what he said, put a famous chick on a hook, there you go with a platinum CD. Like you know what I mean? It was a he's like, it's easy for you guys to go ahead and make a hit album. You know what I mean?
The funny thing is that, I mean, she wasn't famous, but you know, he had Julie Black on that joint, on that song, you know what I'm saying, doing the same thing he was talking about. But that's a dope song. It's one of my favorite songs. If Heaven Was a Mile Away. That song hits.
Yeah. Oh my God. But I just don't feel like I feel like you could lay the roadmap in front of MCs and they still wouldn't be able to do it unless they really had it like that.
Exactly. Okay. I'm gonna go on to that point because people, you know, there's some people out there that think Jay-Z was lucky, or a lot of these artists are lucky to, you know, have, you know, people, you know, die early, prematurely, or, you know, people just fell out for whatever one reason or another. You still have to do it. You still have to be able to be able to go out there and make your voice heard. And that goes just with anything in life, not just music, but, you know, basketball or whatever the case may be. It takes a special person to really have that in them to take over and to, you know, follow the blueprint and, you know, do everything, because it's real easy to fall off when the blueprint's in front of you. You can have directions all in front of you, and it's real easy to deviate from that. Man, this is boring, or this is the same old stuff. It's real easy to deviate from that. So I think, you know, you got to give artists credit no matter what, you know what I mean? Because it's really tough.
You could even argue that following formula too stridently counts against an artist. You feel me? Because it becomes very very apparent that this is a formula that you're just gonna do over and over again.
Right.
The artistic deviations from the formula that go on to surpass what we expected from an artist is what would set them apart. Like when Kendrick dropped. Sorry to bring up Kendrick again. When he dropped To Pimp a Butterfly as his sophomore major label album, his second album. We talk about Nas being a risk taker. My God, man. Are you insane? What are you doing, Kendrick? You're going to sink the ship. I can imagine being in that Interscope building and these white folks is hitting To Pimp and being like, we got everything behind this kid. What are we gonna do? And he dropped it and it worked, man. You see, because are you cold enough to take the risk? Are you cold enough to take the risk, man? Like that's why there is no Cole comparison to me, because Cole never took a risk like that.
Are you?
See, we're not even gonna. We had to save for another day.
I knew he was taking shots.
Right, he was taking shots. Exactly.
Are you saying cold enough or cold? It's cold. It's a cold world.
But fellas, we're gonna have to head out of here. It's a great conversation. I don't know which one we're gonna do next. We're gonna have to talk about it and work this whole thing out, how we're gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Let's do group versus group next time.
You know,
I want to do Mobb
but,
Deep versus somebody.
You know,
I feel like eventually we're leading up to J. Cole, Kendrick.
Oh, that's gonna happen. You already know that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any ideas, any suggestions, or whatever, how you wanna, go forth with doing this whole album versus album, maybe next time we play a couple of clips, but that might take away from the conversational piece of it. Just let us know. All right, put it in the comment section and everything, and just let us know how you want to see this go. But I'm out of here. Obviously, everybody knows, I do the Knicks shows. I do NBK. So it's hard to come up with a full schedule of when we can go live. I have to look at it week by week. The past week just hasn't been good for me. I guess I can let everybody know on here. It's not everybody. It's not the whole, the past week week and a half I've been dealing with COVID, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reason why the show kept getting pushed back, because I would do a couple shows on NBK and then I didn't have enough breath and everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting better. So, we was able to go ahead and knock it out. You know what I mean? And I should be getting a negative result tomorrow. So that's the reason why it was such a delay. But we're back and we're ready to go. All right. So just let us know how we want to do it, and look forward to seeing a schedule of when we'll be doing Front Stoop shows.
That's right. We got a COVID special we're gonna be working on.
Yeah, we're gonna be working on that too, no doubt. So we'll have a schedule in between the Knicks games, and we'll put it out, posted or something like that. All right. Any last words, Savvy, real quick?
Just want to say much love to y'all. Glad to have the vitality and health of Simeon Russell present tonight. Also of Tone Crow. Tone Crow didn't have COVID, but he was also under the weather earlier this week. I want to wish y'all health and love and hip hop. Thanks to all the viewers. Stoop Kids back.
Yeah, no doubt. Tone?
Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is Time. Josh, welcome aboard tonight. Savvy, keep doing your thing. Sim, keep doing your thing. Cold World.
Josh.
Yeah, man. Always great being on with you guys, talking about, just, politics, life, hip hop. Sim, glad you're feeling better, man. And I'm praying for that negative result tomorrow. You guys be on the lookout for the versus battles that are coming up. I know Method Man is going to be battling Redman soon, I think.
Yeah.
And, I'm not sure how far you want to go back about Earth, Wind, and Fire and Isley Brothers, but I'm gonna be checking that joint.
I'm gonna be on that one. I'm on that one. And I don't know what's going on with if I'm able to stream the versus battles or not, but I think I'm going to set up another channel that's just for versus. You know what I'm saying? And we can do the pre-versus on both the channels, and then I cut it off just to do the versus on the versus channel, and then we could do the post show on both the channels again, something like that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But
yeah. So be on the lookout for the versus battles, and I'm definitely gonna be checking it out. You know what I'm saying? I gotta scope out some records that I'm probably gonna mix up and spin here. So just be on the lookout, guys, and great show as always.
No doubt. Appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and we're out of here. Peace.
Hip hop.
Be gone, man. Fun show. Yeah.